Greetings, sci-fi explorers. Subscribe and hit like. On a desolate, sun-baked planet, harsh rays relentlessly scorched a forgotten world. Serrated shadows crawled across the sand, emanating from the relics of a bygone civilization. Tar advanced cautiously, his visor glitching in the stifling heat. Approaching the dilapidated remnants of a former service depot, he scrutinized an inscription on the time-worn alloy facade, then tripped. His helmet struck a jutting girder. The resonant clang echoed. Silence descended. Suddenly, a click echoed in his helmet. Through crackling static and swirling dust, a voice resonated. "You rescued me!" Tar froze, stunned. He surveyed the surroundings anew, his gaze sharper. The age-old wall he'd crashed into seemed to hum subtly, like a creature stirring from slumber. Underneath ages of sand and decay, a dim light throbbed to life. He retreated a step. A once imperceptible seam now blazed brilliantly on the metal surface. Tar retrieved his multi-tool and meticulously cleared the obstructing debris. With each fragment removed, the truth became increasingly apparent. This wasn't merely a wall, but a forgotten and sealed gateway, patiently awaiting a trigger, with something or someone entombed within. As Tar diligently worked to unveil the concealed panel, the voice resonated with renewed clarity. "Please, I implore you, do not open it." Naturally, he defied the voice's desperate warning. He extracted a compact pry bar from his pack, carefully inserting it into the panel's perimeter. The aged metal shrieked under the increasing force, layers of rust grudgingly yielding. With a mighty surge, the panel shattered open, unveiling a concealed recess behind. A wave of dust and stale air surged forth, tinged with a subtle scent of antiseptic and an indefinable organic essence. Tar briefly shielded his vision before peering into the recess. Concealed behind the panel, cradled amongst fractured supports and fused steel, lay a shimmering, coffin-shaped enclosure. The substance defied glass, boasting superior fortitude and an ethereal blue glow radiating from its perimeters. Within resided a female figure, her cerulean skin adorned with complex designs, possibly tattoos or inherent species markings. Her features were human-like, yet undeniably alien. Pronounced cheekbones, a refined jaw, and a graceful nose. Eyes shut, face tranquil, like slumbering profoundly. She donned a sleek suit of unfamiliar texture. Stark against azure skin, conduits linked spine to containment walls, emitting sporadic light flares. Body bore testament to past wounds. Scars marked bare limbs and neck, yet she seemed preserved, remarkably whole. Frozen in utter disbelief, TK's eyes jolted open, revealing striking, luminous silver irises. Her pupils, like quicksilver, rapidly adjusted to the sudden light, locking onto him with an arresting intensity that compelled him to retreat. "You're different from them," she uttered, her voice now distinctly audible, yet still emanating from the deactivated helmet's comm system instead of the enclosure. Ty moved forward with caution, picking up his helmet and bringing it close to his ear. "Who exactly are them?" he inquired, scrutinizing her face through the clear barrier. "The architects of this very wall, designed to confine me," she responded, her voice waning slightly. "Post-election." "Vote on what?" Tar inquired, his voice tinged with urgency as he peered intensely at the capsule. Silence. Her eyelids drooped once more, her form motionless. A chilling thought crossed Tar's mind. Was she gone? Relief washed over him as he detected the faint rhythm of her chest. He scrutinized the container, noticing a delicate display revealing her critical life readings. Vital signs, rhythm, saturation, cognition are spiraling downward. Her pulse faltered precariously as oxygen dwindled relentlessly. The suspension mechanism preserving her was collapsing, possibly catalyzed by our arrival. This awakening was never intended, and now oblivion beckons. Tar paused, conflicted. He sought only relics, not accountability. Definitely not some enigmatic, azure-skinned maiden in a clandestine stasis pod. Yet, an irresistible allure emanated from her, a riddle he was compelled to unravel. He pinpointed the pod's release, a series of subtle pressure nodes along its facade. With focused haste, he triggered them in what he prayed was the proper order. The canister sighed as its seal fractured, the lid gliding aside, unveiling the woman to the atmosphere. The tubes, once tethered to her spine, disengaged seamlessly with subtle clicks. She remained motionless, her respiration fading precariously. Tenderly, Tar extracted her from the vessel, astonished by her ethereal weight. From his pack, he produced a vital medical kit, extracting a stem injector, a broad-spectrum stimulant engineered to fortify critically ill patients until comprehensive medical assistance could be secured. He firmly applied the injector to her neck and initiated it. The impact was virtually instantaneous. Her spine convulsed as she inhaled sharply, her eyes snapping wide open once more. With startling force, her hand surged upwards, seizing his wrists in a surprisingly powerful grip. Their gazes met, an intense connection forged in that instant. His brown eyes reflected astonishment. Her silver eyes mirrored a blend of bewilderment and terror. Then her hold weakened, and she drifted back into oblivion, her breathing now steady. Gently, Tar scooped her up, swiftly resolving to return her to the sanctuary of his camp. Navigating the desolate ruins with his unforeseen responsibility, he remained oblivious to the discreet tremor in the sand trailing him. An undulation pursued their every step, like a colossal entity stalking them just beneath the parched terrain. Tar's improvised encampment, artfully positioned amidst colossal fragments of shattered concrete, offered refuge from the scorching sun and the merciless sandstorms that relentlessly scourged the plains. A hastily rigged tarp provided supplemental shielding, fashioning a cool sanctuary where the heat became bearable instead of deadly. He gently placed the azure-skinned woman upon his sleeping mat, reassessing her vitals. The emergency stimulant had taken effect. Her respiration was stable, her heartbeat robust. He was now simply waiting. Nightfall descended rapidly upon Callous Fool, the temperature plummeting with the same intensity it had risen during daylight. Tar initiated a compact heating device, positioning it close to the sleeping woman, then leaned against a piece of wreckage to maintain vigilance. Numerous questions plagued him, but they would have to remain unanswered until she stirred, assuming she regained consciousness. He scrutinized her form in the soft glow of his lamp. The etchings upon her skin weren't arbitrary. They traced designs hinting at a lost language, maybe even battle regalia. Her scars whispered tales of fierce combat, of sheer resilience. Whoever she might be, she had weathered brutal wars long before her entombment within that vessel. Time stretched onward. Tar drifted in and out of sleep, jolting awake at the faintest noise. In one such lucid moment, he noticed her eyes were now open, fixed on him. "Water," she croaked, her voice rough. He grabbed his canteen and gently assisted her to sit, allowing her to drink. She sipped slowly, thoughtfully, as one acutely aware of each precious drop's worth in a parched wasteland. "Thank you," she murmured softly after drinking. Her accent was peculiar, vowels subtly prolonged, consonants crisply truncated. Perhaps an archaic dialect, or one from a distant colony unknown to him. "I'm Naria," she ventured, scrutinizing him with those piercing silver eyes. "Tar," he responded tersely. She nodded, seemingly validating an inner thought. "You rescued me once," she stated, her gaze unwavering. Amidst the frantic Station 9 evacuation, your voice echoes vividly. Tuck grimaced, dismissing it. "I wasn't at Station 9. A sardonic chuckle burst forth. "I've attempted rescues, tried to be a savior." His eyes steeled, mirroring the heater's glare. "It all failed. My extraction team perished in flames. Perhaps you're a figment of my imagination. Maybe a part of me also died during that inferno." Naria met his cynicism head-on, her gaze unwavering. "And yet," she mused, "you persist, still drawing breath, still burdened by that armor forged of guilt." "It's preserved me," he retorted defensively. "Or has it?" she pressed, her voice laced with concern. "Perhaps it has simply prevented you from truly embracing life." An extended silence hung between them, broken only by the weight of her penetrating gaze. Her confident facade crumbled, replaced by a nuanced blend of emotions, a poignant mix of disillusionment and intrigue. "Then you echo someone of great significance," she murmured, her voice gentler now. Trick was inundated with questions, a torrent he struggled to articulate. Who was this woman? Why was she entombed? What was the nature of this vote she referenced? But before he could utter a single inquiry, a subtle drone resonated in the air, a sound chillingly familiar. Drones. He dashed towards the shelter's perimeter, scanning the inky expanse above. 3 minuscule figures traversed the starlit canvas. Their silhouettes betrayed stealth-class recon drones operating incognito, devoid of identifying beacons. Unquestionably military, not mere looters. "We must relocate," he urged, pivoting to face Na. "Someone's hunting for something." "For me," she retorted, struggling to her feet. Her legs quivered under the strain, yet resolve etched itself upon her face. "They've relentlessly hunted me." Tara swiftly amassed his crucial provisions, years of precarious living having instilled in him the wisdom of unburdened travel. He extended a spare cloak to Naria, who wordlessly enveloped herself within its folds. The drones were now closing in, executing scanning patterns designed to pinpoint the camp's exact location shortly. Tar hoisted his pack and gestured towards a tight passage wedged between concrete slabs. "Through here. Keep a low profile." They vanished into the shadows, just as the lead drone soared above. Its scanning beam meticulously probed the deserted camp, lingering on the recently vacated sleeping pad. Tar and Na clung to the icy concrete, breaths shallow as the light grazed them meters away. Once the drone drifted off, they advanced through the passage, bursting onto the open sand. Tar gestured towards a silhouette of dark shapes on the horizon. "The wreckage of an old transport, downed in the planet's initial bombardment. Shelter awaits." A sharp pulse rifle crack split the air, silencing him. A drone detonated in a brilliant cascade of sparks, its shattered frame collapsing onto the dunes. Instantly, Trick spun, blaster already in hand, unleashing a shot at the second drone. The blast connected, sending the machine into a chaotic descent, a plume of smoke marking its demise. The third drone, unfortunately, had already pinpointed their location. Instead of an explosive, it launched a smaller projectile, burying itself in the sand near Tar's foot. A tracking device. "Bolt!" he roared, seizing Nara's arm. They surged across the terrain, TK bearing Nara's weight as her legs faltered. Though weakened, she moved with uncanny grace, as if her body recalled how to sprint, even without sufficient strength. The lone drone executed another circuit before rocketing towards the horizon, relaying intel back to its sender. Tar pivoted sharply, veering away from the transport debris he'd originally flagged. "They'll trace us to my mark," he gasped. "We're changing course. Evasive maneuvers initiated." Narya obeyed instantly, hobbling slightly, yet maintaining stride. Her motions hinted at honed skills, reflective of vast training and trials. She acted as though this was routine. They journeyed through the black night, pausing solely upon nearing exhaustion. As the first rays of light appeared, they had distanced themselves a considerable distance from the camp, arriving at a separate, abandoned section of ruins. This shell, the lingering vestiges of what once thrived as a residential block, boasts walls surprisingly tall, shielding us from prying eyes in the sky. Tar unearthed a remarkably preserved chamber, its partial roof a welcome haven from the scorching sun's relentless ascent. Nara slumped against a sturdy wall, her breath measured yet strained. "You really should have abandoned me back there," she finally gasped, catching her breath. "Conceivably," Trick conceded, yet they both understood he wouldn't dare. He'd irrevocably crossed the threshold when he rescued her from confinement. A delicate, momentary smile graced her features, a transformation that rejuvenated her countenance. "No, you're incapable. You mirror him in that regard." "Mirror who, pray tell?" "The originator of your vocal essence." TK chose not to probe further. Instead, he thoughtfully extended more water and a share of his provisions, nutrient-dense protein bars, bland yet vital. "Those drones," he remarked, mid-bite, "aren't mere scavengers or local patrol. Military grade, unmarked, black ops. They're relentless. Who are they? And why are they pursuing you?" She paused, lost in thought, eyes fixed on the half-eaten bar in her grasp. Finally, when she vocalized, a detached tone resonated, akin to reciting ancient lore. "I served as an arbiter, selected to deliver pivotal votes when the Council reached impasses concerning planetary safeguarding." Her gaze lifted, revealing silver eyes haunted by mutable shadows, as though myriad personalities battled for supremacy within. Half a millennium ago, TK nearly gagged on his water. Half a millennium? Or perhaps 6 centuries? She furrowed her brow, massaging her temples. No, half a millennium. 5 centuries suspended in time. But her voice trailed off. So many lifetimes swirling within me. "What do you mean exactly?" TK inquired, stepping nearer. Nara's eyes glazed over, fixated on something beyond his perception. "They didn't simply preserve me. They conducted experiments. Memory weaving, consciousness resculpting." A shiver coursed through her frame. "Vividly, I recall serving as a warrior on the northern front lines. I distinctly remember educating youths in the Central Territories. I intensely recall nurturing 3 children in the eastern outposts." Her voice faltered. "These existences aren't mine, yet I intimately sense them all their anxieties, all their demises." Tar felt a shiver course through him despite the warmth. He discerned the indicators, the imperial mind-altering procedures utilized on recalcitrant soldiers. He'd witnessed squad mates diminish to vacant husks when the procedure faltered. Back then, stasis tech was cutting edge, intended to safeguard living observers of pivotal historical moments. She idly ran her fingers over a scar on her arm, or, in my situation, to safeguard a premonition. A premonition of what, precisely? Half a millennium prior, a fateful decision was made: whether to unleash a neurodisplacement weapon upon our own metropolises to quell a rebellion. Her tone had turned glacial, utterly detached. The weapon, designed to pinpoint specific neural pathways linked to rebellious thought, would essentially obliterate the minds of those defying the Empire, leaving their physical shells behind. She hesitated, then forced a swallow. I cast a dissenting vote. 7 of us did. 7 out of 15 orbiters. A stalemate, Tar breathed softly. The Emperor ultimately decided. Gazing at him, her eyes mirrored ages of suppressed fury. However, certain individuals among us had preemptively undermined the weapon's deployment, branded as treason. She glanced down, her hands subtly quivering. The other rebels faced public execution. I was spared. My mentor, she choked out. My brother Vex persuaded them I'd be far more impactful as a cautionary tale. He engineered the stasis chamber personally, sealing me within a data vault, a living, breathing testament and stark reminder to future arbiters of the devastating consequences of rebellion. Agony twisted her features as she frantically pressed her palms against her temples once more. Subsequently, my mind was flooded with vivid recollections of all who had endured hardship because of my decision. Each dissident apprehended, every family irrevocably shattered. He subjected me to relive each harrowing experience repeatedly. Tar felt an overwhelming sense of remorse welling up inside him, a familiar guilt that had propelled him from military service into desolate lands following his catastrophic command error, which resulted in the tragic loss of his own comrades. Why this sudden, relentless pursuit after all this time? Her gaze pierced him, causing him to fidget. The wall's reactivation felt invasive. They lingered among the ruins until dusk, recuperating and strategizing. Naria's vigor rebounded steadily, her physique adjusting with astonishing alacrity. As twilight descended, she could rise and ambulate unaided, though TK observed a slight favoring of her right limb. So, the Empire endures? She inquired, poised for departure. Trick affirmed, in a fashion, splintered post-sectoral conflicts, the remnant self-style as sovereign domains currently, identical regalia, altered designation, and your affiliation. He paused, verifying his blaster's power level. Previously, clandestine operative. Now I'm merely a survivor, scrounging for scraps. No one is simply defined. Naria watched with quiet intensity. As twilight descended, TK found himself captivated by her preparations, her movements meticulous despite her evident suffering. The logical move would be desertion, seize his gear and vanish into the desolate expanse. A vestige of a bygone war, she haunted by conflicts not of his making. You contemplate abandonment, she stated, eyes fixed, mind reading. Prudence dictates departure, he conceded. A lone survivor endures longer than a pair. Yet why linger? Trick found no rationale, even in his own mind. Perhaps I'm weary of merely existing. He observed her meticulously adjusting a detail on her worn garments. What detained you there? Aunt, he inquired abruptly, entombed within that wall for ages. Why not simply relinquish? Na hesitated. her ethereal eyes drifting into the void. "Remembrance," she whispered gently. "Their remembrance. It was my confinement and my solemn vow." She gazed upon him. "As I entered stasis, I vowed to never forget those they sought to obliterate. Every rebel, every family, every precious idea they tried to extinguish. Remembrance became my ultimate act of defiance." Trick nodded, finally grasping her very essence. "And now, I must unleash these memories upon the world." They started moving towards a ridge familiar to TK, a battleground from his soldiering past, now bearing only scars of vitrified earth and twisted metal. The harrowing trek saw Nara frequently falter, her features twisted by the onslaught of warring recollections. "The echoes?" she wheezed mid-episode. "They rage within me, a symphony of demise, a chorus of dreams unrealized." TK leaned heavily on him, the urgency of their situation palpable with each precious second lost. "We need respite. No, we must persevere. I'll endure." And she miraculously did. As dawn painted the horizon, they crested the ridge, greeted by a bizarre vista, sand transmuted into glassy sculptures by searing energy blasts. But an unsettling tremor rippled beneath their feet, an ethereal pulse that defied explanation. "You sense it too?" Na murmured, her voice laced with unease. Tar inclined his head, sinking to his knees to press his palm firmly against the earth. The pulsing resonated with a fixed cadence. Unnatural. "There's an active presence beneath this battlefield, something stirring." They unearthed a largely undamaged communications array at the periphery of the desolate expanse. The tower's apex was cleaved off by relentless weaponry, yet its foundation persisted, and critically the access consoles might still be operational. TK moved with deliberate haste, linking his mobile energy source to the tower's grid. Archaic displays sputtered awake, presenting intel in a layout familiar from his service, albeit more rudimentary. "Gaining access?" Nara inquired, remaining vigilant. "Cracking it," Trick murmured, circumventing outdated security measures long rendered ineffective. "The signal patterns are decidedly peculiar." He meticulously isolated the frequencies, scrutinizing their origin and intended recipient. His discovery chilled him to the bone. "The signals are ricocheting off my tracker, the very one the drone embedded in the sand." He pivoted, his gaze fixed on Nara, comprehension spreading across his face. "It's not merely pinpointing our location. It's exploiting my armor's comms to transmit the intel." His battlesuit, a customized bioenvironment enclosure, originated from military stock. Though heavily augmented, the central comm system persisted, a vulnerability he'd overlooked. Pivoting, he saw Nara in motion, a concealed blade materialized in her grip. Briefly, he feared an assault, that she'd silence him to kill the signal. Instead, she offered the blade, hilt first. "You were unaware," she stated, her keen eyes scrutinizing his. "My reason for staying." TK accepted the blade, finding the tracker buried within his suit. With unwavering precision, he severed it cleanly, then pulverized it under his boot. The rhythmic thrum beneath the glassy surface surged briefly, before resuming its steady cadence. For the first time since discovering her, Naraya offered a nod, bordering on reverence. Trust, a prize hard-won, not lightly bestowed. That night, nestled securely at the comm tower's base, they meticulously strategized their subsequent maneuver. The tracking beacon had compromised their approximate position, yet obliterating the chip had afforded them a temporary reprieve. The resonating pulse beneath this war zone, Nara articulated, sketching diagrams in the earth and dust. It's a sophisticated confinement field designed for entities akin to myself. Additional orbiters, perhaps? Negative. Preserved exemplars, cautionary figures, anyone deemed worthy by the Empire. Her finger froze. Pattern finalized. A cryptic chart of sorts. A clandestine site lurks beneath the glass. A repository brimming with vibrant recollections. She scrutinized her traced design. "Seeking entry?" he inquired. "I aim to obliterate it," she retorted, her gaze locking onto his, resolute and unwavering. "And your assistance is vital." "Engaging in this," he began cautiously, "constitutes a declaration of hostilities against the remnants of your dominion." "They initiated hostilities against me 5 centuries prior," Nara responded evenly. "I am merely delivering a long-awaited response." Tuck paused, haunted by lingering memories. "Why should I offer aid? I've dedicated years to evading conflict, shirking duty." Naria scrutinized him, her argent eyes mirroring the subdued illumination. "Still flagellating yourself, aren't you? The penance is etched in every move. The recoil at command decisions? Unveiling the truth. What was it? A directive derailed? Innocent lives lost? Or something far more sinister?" Tar's jaw clenched, ancient injuries resurfacing. "My squad, a dozen souls." I relayed coordinates for an urgent evac amidst intense gunfire. Tragically, I miskeyed the sequence. His voice descended to a hushed tone. Our own fleet obliterated our location. I emerged as the sole survivor. "So you've been sequestered in this desolate expanse ever since?" "Not sequestered," he retorted, his tone sharp with correction. "Merely existing. Is that sufficient?" she queried softly, a subtle defiance lacing her tone. "Simply existing?" The unspoken question lingered, a potent echo of reality. Tar realized he'd been stagnating, not truly living, since that fateful day. Subconsciously, he might have rescued her from stasis, driven by a buried yearning for renewed purpose. United, they forged a daring plan. The clandestine installation would be exceptionally fortified, featuring automated security measures as a baseline and potentially a compact team of human operators. Their mission? Neutralize the external sensors, the primary complex, and access the core command network. Tar meticulously illustrated his recollection of typical Imperial military outposts, detailing the plausible architecture and exploitable vulnerabilities. Nara enriched the account with period-specific details, pinpointing the enduring designs throughout centuries. By dawn, they crystallized a plan. Imperfect. Absolutely. But it represented their finest maneuver, given the scant resources and time. As the sun crested the glassy battlefield, they amassed their available armaments. Tar's personalized blaster, Nara's razor-sharp blade, and some ingenious improvised explosives forged from salvaged parts. Hardly an arsenal, but they possessed the element of surprise. And Narya channeled 5 centuries of unbridled fury. They struck as the sun crested the horizon. The ominous black blight was even more pronounced in the daylight than TK had anticipated. 3 sleek spires pierced the skyline, stark against the shimmering dunes like accusing fingers. Though meticulously disguised to mirror the surrounding fused sand, their unwavering symmetry betrayed their artificial nature to any seasoned observer. A pair of patrol drones lazily traced a repetitive orbit, an obvious sign of negligence. Clearly, the guardians of this installation anticipated no disruption. Not in this desolate expanse. Not after all this time invested. Emerging from the east, Tar and Nara exploited the sun's glare to mask their advance. They infiltrated the sensor perimeter completely unnoticed. Hunkered down behind the mangled remains of a former assault vehicle, TK murmured, 30 seconds till the next sensor pulse. Initiate the advance upon my cue. Naria concurred silently, her focus laser-locked on the proximate tower. A predatory glint sparked within her eyes, a potent reminder to Tar of her prior stature, a figure of considerable command and influence. The scanning device completed its circuit, its almost imperceptible drone gradually diminishing as it distanced itself from their covert location. Tak elevated his hand, sustained the pause for 2 measured heartbeats, and then swiftly lowered it. They dashed across the exposed terrain, boots grinding on the glassy ground. 20 Obiatium, 15, 10. The tower's sleek facade towered above them, a seamless surface devoid of windows or any clear entry points. Naraya arrived there first, her fingertips delicately exploring the seemingly impenetrable wall. A segment of it gleamed, shifting to total transparency, unveiling a tiny alcove housing a control console. Certain constants remain, she mused, navigating the controls with instinctive precision. Imperial security measures have historically prized predictability over groundbreaking advancement. The console chimed gently, confirming her input. A broader section of the wall dissipated, forming a gateway ample enough for their passage. They swiftly entered, the wall hissing shut behind them. Inside, the tower felt impeccably sterile. Pristine white walls, gentle ambient light, air hinting of recyclers and antiseptic, a sharp divergence from the ravaged world beyond. This way, Nara gestured, confidently proceeding down a corridor. Tar followed, blaster raised, vigilantly watching their rear. They encountered absolutely no personnel, just automated systems that Naraya circumvented with unsettling proficiency. The facility apparently functioned with almost no human supervision, a derelict outpost diligently maintaining its operations, its original mission long since faded from collective memory. They arrived at a crossroads where the hallway branched into 3 paths. Naraya paused, her confidence wavering noticeably for the first time. The schematics have been significantly altered, she conceded. The energy vault must be this way, commanded Tar. However, we'll split up, as TK decided. I'll secure the perimeter, scrutinizing security and any hidden entrances. You, Nara, locate the energy vault. Nara acknowledged with a nod. Stay vigilant. Should you encounter human personnel, expect highly trained guards, utterly devoted to their mission. I'm intimately familiar with their kind, Tar responded with unwavering resolve. They parted ways, each navigating a separate passage. TK advanced warily, alert for any clandestine monitoring tools while mentally charting the expanse. The east sector seemed residential, minimal, yet adequate for a team of a dozen, presently unoccupied. The west sector accommodated a communications hub, its arrays of hardware vibrating subtly. TK, driven by purpose, unearthed his quarry, a comprehensive security display showcasing diverse facility sectors. A prominent screen revealed a vast chamber brimming with stasis pods, an evolved version of Naya's confinement. Concentric formations of dozens encircled a vibrant, radiant energy pillar. the vault's pulsating heart. Another display depicted Narya advancing towards the chamber, oblivious to the fact that her every step was being scrutinized. A third screen revealed a sight that chilled Tar to the bone. A heavily armed squad was closing in on Narya's location from below. 6 soldiers toted weaponry that dwarfed his blaster, rendering it utterly obsolete. TK acted decisively. He unleashed a barrage upon the comms, obliterating surveillance and, fingers crossed, silencing the alarm. He bolted back, choosing Narya's path through the central corridor. He found her locked in combat with 3 guards, their movements a surprisingly elegant dance despite her prolonged stasis. A piercing wail erupted from her, a sonic assault that thoroughly discombobulated her foes. Tara zeroed in and felled a guard with an expertly aimed shot to the vulnerable neck joint of their armor. The last 2 pivoted towards the fresh peril, gifting Nara the perfect opportunity she required. She swiftly neutralized them with movements bordering on prophetic. "The vault?" he inquired, stepping closer. "Beyond that," she gestured towards the colossal door at the corridor's terminus. "But it's locked. I'll have to override the energy barrier." "Reinforcements inbound," TK alerted, hearing approaching footsteps. "ETA?" "Approximately 2 minutes," she calculated, intensely manipulating the door's interface. Tar strategically positioned himself at the corridor's bottleneck. Approaching guards would be forced to funnel, severely impeding their flanking maneuvers. A searing bolt struck his shoulder, the violent impact twisting him and driving him against the wall. An explosion of agony ripped through him, momentarily clouding his sight. He struggled to maintain awareness, hoisting his blaster with his uninjured arm. Behind him, Nara toiled intensely at the door console, her fingers flying across the panel with growing desperation. "Unlocked!" The colossal door groaned open, achingly slow. "Get out of here," he yelled to Nara. "I'll delay them." She darted through the narrow opening. Despite the searing agony in his shoulder, Tara relentlessly fired, each shot meticulously aimed. He surged forward as the door swung wide, Na securing it behind them, briefly holding off the remaining guards. They were now inside the immense chamber TK had witnessed on the monitors, a circular space with a vaulted ceiling that vibrantly glowed with azure light. Envision countless stasis pods, meticulously arranged in a captivating, spiraling formation around a vibrant vortex of pure energy. Within each pod, a soul rested, diverse species, varied ages, all gracefully frozen in the river of time. As they drifted closer to the glowing pillar, a concealed doorway hissed open, exposing a clandestine path. Commander Vex emerged, his augmented physique battle-ready, his advanced weaponry awakening with a subtle, menacing thrum. "Protocol 37 Alpha," he intoned, his voice now a chilling void, utterly devoid of the humanity he'd displayed moments before. "Eliminate the intruders," he commanded, his weapon arm rising with lethal precision, the targeting system fixated on TR. Ria was positioned too remotely to effectively intervene. Tar remained steadfast, refusing to yield or avert his gaze. Vex's arm steadied, the targeting reticles honed in with deadly accuracy on TK's chest. "Execute! Obliterate!" His finger tightened on the trigger. Then a shift occurred. A shudder vibrated through the machine's frame. The targeting matrix flickered. "You," Vex's voice altered, the robotic accuracy dissolving into something profoundly human. "You echo a ghost of who I used to be." The weapon descended imperceptibly. "What fuels your fight for them? They mean nothing to you?" questioned Vex. Because someone must, Trick responded resolutely. Because it's inherently just. Another earth-shattering tremor violently shook the area. Vex's metallic face twisted in what seemed like genuine agony. I once shared your perspective, before the core, before my agency was stolen, he confessed grimly. The weapon fully descended. If she represents a fading memory, he concluded solemnly, I shall embrace the quiet, no longer your adversary. His figure dissolved, metal shedding the ghost of humanity. Proceed as needed, sister. I won't impede you. The commander convulsed, his face blurring, a glimpse of something different emerging. Another figure emerged, a fresh face, youthful, with minimal insignia. Nar gasped. Vex? Can it truly be you under all that metal? Commander Vex stood rigidly. I am Commander Vex, designation S. You are mistaken should you think some family bond will give you leverage. They didn't simply wipe your memories. Narya interjected, her voice trembling with raw emotion. They annihilated your very essence. My brother would never have expunged me from his memory. Vex's metallic facade flickered subtly. Brother is a fallacious term. I held the rank of your commanding officer and guide. You transcended that role, Nara asserted, her hand radiating warmth against his chassis. You ignited my critical thinking, urging me to unearth truth beyond the Empire's dogma. You were the first to unveil the blueprints of the neuro weapon. You were the one who insisted we neutralize it. A tremor coursed through Vex's being. Fabrications. I have consistently served the Empire with unwavering allegiance. Nay, you had a last-minute change of heart. You have forsaken our mission. You have abandoned the Resistance. You have devastated me. Tears now streamed down her face. Why, Vex? What enticements did they present? What reward could possibly justify transforming me into this? She indicated herself, showcasing the scars etched onto her azure skin. I recall, Vex murmured, her voice wavering between cold, robotic accuracy and vulnerable, human hesitation. Briefly, a flicker of humanity ignited his gaze, real eyes peering from behind the fabricated facade. I desperately wanted to rescue you. Annihilation versus salvation. I believed I could orchestrate your liberation eventually. But they transformed you, Narya whispered gently. The memory nexus, Vex confessed, his voice resonating with newfound humanity. They initially used me as a prototype, subsequently designating me as its guardian. A wave of agonizing grief washed over his evolving, almost human face. I truly believed I was shielding you, he uttered. I rationalized preservation as a greater act of kindness than outright destruction. His voice trembled with raw remorse. I was ignorant to their plans, to their infusion of foreign memories, their twisted experimentation. And now? Nara inquired gently. Vex surveyed the sprawling facility, the systems he'd painstakingly managed for eons. If you embody memory itself, he declared with finality, then I shall embrace silence, never your adversary. No longer. A radiant shimmer enveloped him as the metallic components detached from his dwindling humanity. Proceed as you deem necessary, sister. I shall not impede you. Simultaneously, Trick had successfully neutralized the last of the drones, yet additional security protocols initiated within the control hub. Time was swiftly running out. Nara, he urged. "Whatever you're tackling, amplify your pace." She acknowledged, gaze fixed on her brother's receding figure. "Unveil the nexus, Vex. Expose the heart of your very being." Vex, with a wavering hand, indicated a secured portal at the control center's edge. "Behold, the repository of memories. Eradicating it means obliterating me and everyone linked to it," he declared. "I don't seek destruction," Narya affirmed, "but a transformative rewrite." Turning to Trick, she commanded, "Shield me. I must access that portal." He acknowledged, strategically positioning himself for suppressive fire as she advanced across the control center. They converged at the portal, Narya pressing her hand to its surface. It inexplicably recognized her, gliding open to unveil a compact chamber beyond. Within resided a solitary pedestal showcasing a crystalline structure radiating with kaleidoscopic light. The memory core. Narya advanced with profound reverence, the faint glow in her hand subtly diminishing. 5 centuries of pilfered memories, she whispered. 5 centuries of lives exhibited as cautionary tales. "Dare you truly unleash it?" Tar inquired, vigilantly guarding the entrance. "Not rewrite, but liberate." She elevated the blade for one last act. "These memories are intrinsically tied to their bearers, not to the Empire's grasp." She plunged the sword into the crystal, yet instead of shattering, the steel dissolved into it, as if entering liquid depths. Illumination surged from the blade into the gem, then rebounded, forging an escalating cycle of radiant power. Nia's resolve morphed into profound understanding. Her gaze locked with Track's. "It requires a vessel," she murmured softly. "A sentient consciousness to shepherd the recollections home." "Absolutely not," TK declared instantly. "There must exist an alternate solution." She offered a melancholic smile. "There isn't. I was destined to remain here, Tar. I was always intended to be the linchpin." "Then allow me," he declared abruptly, surging ahead. "Your psyche is shattered by their actions. Mine remains intact. Let me serve as the nexus." Narya's eyes sprung open with astonishment, then mellowed with profound tenderness. "You would extend such kindness to strangers? Embrace a cause not your own?" "It became intrinsically mine the instant I rescued you," he asserted, his voice unwavering despite the palpable dread. "Allow me to rectify this injustice." She reached out, her gentle touch caressing his face. "Your mind remains pristine, Tar, untouched by their insidious experiments, uncorrupted by ages of deceit. You're bound to stay, a steadfast guardian, to immortalize our genuine selves." Her hand quivered against his face, and a raw, undisguised terror blazed in her argent eyes for the first time. "But the dread, what if they devour me entirely? What if I forfeit the essence of who I am?" She darted a glance at the throbbing crystal. "I'm no savior, Tar. I'm merely a vestige, an assemblage of echoes that once formed a complete being." Tara clasped his hand tightly in hers. "You're so much greater than that. You persevered when they sought to obliterate you." "Enduring isn't equivalent to truly living," she murmured, mirroring his own sentiments. "I tremble, not at the prospect of demise, but at vanishing without a single trace." "You won't," he vowed resolutely. "I shall safeguard your legacy, the authentic you, untainted by their fabrication." Resolve solidified in her gaze as she inhaled deeply. Remember me then, defined by my choices, not their coercion. An ethereal barrier materialized, severing their connection before his protests could continue. Please, he implored, as Tar's anguished cries echoed against the unyielding wall. Absolutely not, she declared, a lifetime of experiences etched in her voice, her luminous silver eyes glistening with suppressed emotion. I'm finally seizing control of my destiny. With unwavering resolve, she thrust her hand into the crystal beside the sword. The energy surge amplified dramatically, tendrils of light racing up her arm, engulfing her chest, and ultimately consuming her entire being. Though agony was etched on her face, she didn't scream. Nara. Tar hammered the barrier, powerless to help. Her eyes met his one final time, silver irises blazing with inner brilliance. Cherish our memory, Tar. Remember my true self, not their creation. With these final words, her physical form began to break apart, morphing into countless particles of light that fused with the crystal. The sword fell to the ground, its blade now lifeless and fractured, its energy depleted. The crystal throbbed, once, then twice, erupting in a dazzling starburst that cascaded throughout the chamber before surging through the walls, permeating the facility's core. The barrier dissolved, and TK lurched forward, collapsing where she had stood. The wave of luminescence washed over him, unleashing a torrent of images, sounds, emotions, echoes of countless lives, fleeting glimpses of alien experiences. Above all, he felt Nara's presence. Not the shattered remnant he remembered, but the vibrant soul she once embodied. Resilient, complete, unwavering. As the luminescence waned, he stood solitary in the chamber. In place of the crystal, a clear prism now refracted Naraya's natural light. Only the fractured blade on the floor remained as evidence. Tar retrieved it, his hands quivering. The once invulnerable metal now felt agonizingly fragile in his grip. He observed delicate fissures snake across its face, the blade's lustrous silver dimming into a somber gray. Then, with a sigh, like a dying breath, it shattered, transforming into shimmering ethereal dust that escaped his grasp like fading memories. Too delicate to truly grasp, yet eternally etched in memory. I shall remember, he murmured to the silent void. I vow it. He retraced his steps to the central hub, discovering a scene of utter metamorphosis. Dormant were the automated safeguards, and Vex's metallic facade lay shattered, exposed as a mere vacant construct. On the monitoring screens, he witnessed the profound impact of Nara's sacrifice. Stasis containers were springing open across the facility. Individuals were stirring, bewildered yet liberated, undeniably alive, as he observed. A quintet congregated in one chamber, apparently recuperating with remarkable swiftness. They advanced with resolute intent, swiftly coordinating and strategizing. Yet a subtle detail captivated him further, their knowing glances, a shared understanding shimmering in their eyes. It was as if they possessed a communal well of knowledge, a unified purpose, a tapestry of interwoven memories. Meanwhile, Tar sought refuge through the service tunnels, each stride a thunderous echo in his skull. Vivid, unfamiliar landscapes blazed behind his eyelids. Strangers, yet familiar. A past unlived, now within reach. Nar's legacy, a piece now his. He stepped onto the crystalline battlefield as the sun blazed overhead. Behind, the towers throbbed with newfound life, no longer sterile automation, but the vibrant disarray of freedom. In the fading light, the distant growl of engines heralded approaching reinforcements, desperate to seize back the compromised black site. But he understood their efforts were futile. The truth had erupted, unleashing 5 centuries of meticulously guarded secrets upon the world. Contemplating his subsequent action, 5 figures materialized from the facility, the very individuals he had observed orchestrating events on the monitors. They advanced with measured steps, scrutinizing his visage with remarkable focus. "You're him," the tallest declared, a creature of scaled hide and 4 limbs. The one resurrected from her recollections. "I'm lost," Tar responded, bewildered. "Her essence now permeates us all," another elucidated. This unique humanoid, exhibiting traits hinting at aquatic evolution, shared echoes of her awareness, steering us toward our true selves. "But she preserved something extraordinary solely for you." The entity extended a hand, gently contacting Trick's brow. A culminating surge of recollections enveloped him, no longer fragmented, but whole. Naria's experiences, her existence, her mission. "You stand as witness now," the entity declared, retracting its hand. "The keeper of memories." A cunning stratagem revealed. Naria hadn't merely liberated captives, she'd transformed him into a vessel for their shared legacy, the one to share their saga with a world oblivious to their existence. Not precisely a judge, but something novel, something vital. He knelt, gently laying the dust-like remains of what was once a sword upon the shore. "What's next?" he inquired, glancing at the 5 who had risen. The scaled entity responded, "Now we recall, and we shall make them recall as well." They aided Tar in standing, and united, they confronted the advancing vehicles, not for battle, but to observe, guaranteeing the truth would remain unearthed this time. 5 awakened, a solitary observer. "You embodied their very essence," Tak murmured, addressing Nara's lingering memory. "Now I shall amplify their legacy, ensuring that when they return, they'll confront the stark truth of our humanity." She departed, entrusting us with remembrance. He endures, guaranteeing absolute, eternal commemoration.